This month, our theme is the inner life, living everyday wonder. Living everyday wonder, not just the wonder of something special happening, but every day the wonder. And again, this week is inner life. And one of the things we're talking about today specifically is the ultimate fear buster. The ultimate fear buster. See, as we investigate our inner life, we're invited to remember that not only am I one with Spirit, but that this Spirit is all that I am. I am that. I am Spirit's experience on this planet at this moment. And so I am the hands, the feet, the voice of Spirit on earth, to quote a Karen Drucker song. And what that means is it's up to me. And so the question that I have today is, what is fear stopping me from doing? What is fear causing me to miss in my life? And we've all had that experience over the last 2 years. You know, some people are afraid of perhaps getting COVID. Other people are afraid of being seen without a mask. Other people are being afraid of being seen with a mask. So we need to look at what is the ultimate fear buster. And I think the ultimate fear buster is faith, knowing that we are one with Spirit, and that this Spirit is all that there is, and that I am that. See, fear is actually very normal and healthy. It can keep us from entering harmful situations and help us to decide when to get out of these situations. The immediate threat of danger and the physical response that come with it can help focus our attention and mobilize us to cope with the danger. And fear also helps us react to danger without having to consciously think about it. Last week, I had a family Zoom call with my sister. And as she got on the phone, she was a little excited. I said, well, what happened? Well, you know, my sister lives in Tucson, and their house sits on, you know, a large piece of property, and the landscaping is, well, natural. As in desert. It always looks unfinished to me, but apparently that's how they like it. And there's like all kinds of critters out there. So she, you know, in nice days of spring, there was going out, and she found this abandoned rat's nest. The desert rats are all over the place there. And so she was cleaning it up, and then she went to get a hose. And when she came back, about a foot away was the first 3 inches of a rattlesnake. So, of course, that was a time to be in fear, not just fear of snakes, but the fear of a rattlesnake and being just a foot away from it. And I don't think she was wearing boots. She was probably wearing flip-flops. So what happens then is the stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, they're released. We've had this feeling, your blood pressure and heart rate increase. You start to breathe faster. Even your blood flow changes. Again, this is something we're not really aware of, but the blood flows away from the heart and into the limbs, making it easier for you to start running or throwing punches or whatever it happens to be. As a matter of fact, as I talk about this, I can feel it. And that fear and those chemicals interrupt the processes in our brains. And sometimes we might feel foggy, and just we're not as apt to read nonverbal cues and other information, or reflect before acting and act ethically. See, it impacts our decision making. It impacts our decision making and our thinking in ways that we think about as negative, and it leaves us susceptible to intense emotions and impulsive reactions if we're afraid. But fear itself is not a negative. I don't want to say that. It's not a negative, destructive emotion that needs to be banished from our psyche. No, it needs to be looked at. It needs to be welcomed, and we don't want to bypass it. There's this thing called spiritual bypassing. This was a term coined in the 1980s by a Buddhist teacher and psychotherapist named John Wellwood. He explains this as a tendency to use spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and unfinished developmental tasks. So we're not talking about bypassing. And while it may not be helpful to live from fear, bypassing it is not the answer for two reasons. First, fear is a normal human emotion, as I said, and it helps us survive and can be beneficial for us. It serves to protect and can give us important information. And silencing or condemning fear is like putting a Band-Aid on a gash. And maybe this gash requires stitches. And if you put a Band-Aid on, you can stop the bleeding, but it's not going to heal properly. So we're not talking about bypass. We're talking about managing fear and coming from a place of faith. So while it's, I know you all know the title of the book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, but often we forget the first part and go immediately to the second. It's like, oh, just do it anyway. Book titles are so interesting. We tend to make assumptions without knowing what the book actually says, like Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Or another one of my favorites, What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. There's so many misleading book titles, like The Never-Ending Story, It Ends. Or The Happy Hooker, it's not about fishing. To Kill a Mockingbird, they don't kill the mockingbird. Or 100 Years of Solitude. There's lots of people in that book. Well, Of Mice and Men, not a rodent to be seen, or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's not really about a nest. So there is this part about feel the fear and do it anyway, in which we need to think about what is the fear, what's behind it, and look at that part. Now, fear, I like the definition of fear as false evidence appearing real. See, humans are born with two fears, the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. And some people actually enjoy the fear and chemical reactions in the body, like people who like roller coasters or horror movies. It's that adrenaline that gets them excited, and then that gives us dopamine, and then, oh my gosh, just from there we get addicted to that. I, for one, have a fear of heights. I remember when one of the first memories I have of being totally aware of this is going up well, I didn't actually go up, okay? It was an open staircase in a lighthouse. And I got like 3 steps and could see through, and it's like, I am not going any further. And then I went with a group of my teenage cohorts in a camp. We went to St. Louis, and there's that big arch, and it's like, I'm not going up there, but I'll stay in line with y'all until we do. But actually, I did go up, and it was okay. And then the Ferris wheel. My birthday was always during the fair week in my hometown. And so there was always a Ferris wheel. And I went with my cousin. We went on the Ferris wheel. It wasn't a big Ferris wheel, but that was okay. That was okay. And since then, I've been on the Ferris wheel, the Eye in London. It's a big, big, big Ferris wheel. So you're in basically a room with a view. And still, I could hardly open my eyes. I figure if I'm in the Ferris wheel, I'm doing it anyway. I'm feeling the fear. I'm breathing, but I'm not opening my eyes. Okay, that's it. Same Ferris wheel, giant Ferris wheel in Vienna, giant Ferris wheel. Same thing. I am not opening my eyes. I'll go up, I'll peek at the top, but that's it. I don't know if anybody else has had this experience. Okay, so we were in Paris. In the distance, we saw a change in the lighting in the on the horizon. And so we thought, well, let's go see what that is. That's different. So we went, we followed the light, so to speak. It was at Christmas. And there was a Ferris wheel set up in this fair. So it's like, oh, cool, Ferris wheel, yay. I'm breathing. I'm just keeping breathing. And I'm saying, I'm going on this Ferris wheel because it's going to be a wonderful experience, beautiful view. Did I mention it was right at the Louvre? And so this is the view. And I have my eyes closed the entire time. Now, this is a physical experience. I can feel it in my body, even though I know that this Ferris wheel has been tested. There have been people on it before me. Rob is sitting across from me. He is not rocking the boat, by the way, because I would be screaming, but I'm not opening my eyes. But I did see the video he took afterwards, and it was a great view. But my fear kept me from seeing that. And so I'm wondering, what else is my fear causing me to miss? So I'm not talking again about fear of physical harm, of being in a situation that is actually very dangerous. I'm talking about that fear that we have within us, like, nobody wants me. I'm not really part of the team. I'm not needed. I'm not loved. I'm not worth anything. I am not enough. See, these false beliefs are the cause of fear, and then we become more afraid. So that false beliefs arises from a belief in duality, in that there are two powers. And we know, we started in the beginning. There's only one power, one presence, one infinite source. That is who and what I am. That has created me. That is living its life through me. There is nothing opposed to our good. There is nothing that is acting against us. The universe is conspiring in our favor. It wants its creation to be successful. Ernest Holmes tells us this. He says, the person who always has the feeling that no one likes him surrounds himself with an atmosphere that pushes people away. That was from last week's reading. And I've been thinking about that. How true is that? When we're in a situation where we think something, that we are not enough, or maybe we're not good enough or brave enough, then we act that way. And it becomes true for us. And we fail to take that responsibility that we're the ones in control of our thoughts, our feelings, and emotions. See, it's the same energy that creates fear, is that same energy of thought that creates love and light. And so one way to release fear is through the cultivation of faith founded on the knowing that God is all there is, that we have a net. See, faith is an attitude of mind. And I quoted this from the Science of Mind textbook. Faith is an attitude of mind that is so convinced of its own idea that it accepts it so completely that any contradiction is inconceivable and impossible. And before we can create such a mental attitude, there must be nothing in our subjective mind that contradicts our objective affirmation. Faith. Faith. And fear is the antithesis of that. It is the negation of trust. So like faith, fear can be conscious or unconscious. And if it is to be eliminated, it must be eliminated from both the conscious mind and the subjective mind. That is from the Science of Mind glossary. So faith and fear, again, identical in the sense the energy used in one is the same energy used in the other, or only one energy in the universe, which is that energy of thought. And so when we understand that fear is that mental attitude, we observe the fear, we examine it, we convert whatever that thought is into one of faith. It's like when we do treatment. We speak the word of truth, but we don't just speak the word of truth. We speak it because we know that there is power behind that there is a power and a presence that is responding to our word, that spirit is everywhere present, always present in every person, every place, every situation all the time. We know that we can count on that. And so we, in treatment, first unify with that. Well, first we recognize it, then we unify with it, and then we speak our word. And then we're in gratitude, knowing that it's already done. And so we can let go. That's the whole idea behind treatment. But if we're saying empty words that we don't really believe, then we need to go back and examine that. And treatment is a logical argument that says, because there is one power and presence everywhere present, it is present here, right now. And because it is present, and because it is the only power in the universe, it's working right here, right now, all of the time. And because I am a creation in that one, I am a co-creator. The way I co-create is through my words. So we're not speaking just empty words. Oh, yes, everything is okay. We're saying, I absolutely believe this without a shadow of a doubt, with everything in my being. And if I don't, then I go back and treat for faith. See, there's only two emotions, love and fear. And love is the divine, the activity of God. Fear, on the other hand, is a tool of the ego. It's those two rules. And we can put aside the inner feeling. We can put aside the inner fear by loving it. And maybe some of loving it might be feeding that fear in a way that allows it to feel loved. And so to love the fear, we must call the power and presence of God into our lives or into that situation, allowing that presence to dispel the fear. And the moment we realize we're in the midst of fear, we don't struggle to get away from it. We relax and declare the truth, remembering that truth will set us free. That truth is greater than the fear. It's like the experiment. I don't know if you've ever done this, but soap suds. If you have soap suds in a bottle, you can shake it and pour it out, and there's still going to be suds left in there. Shake it, put some water in, shake it, pour it out. There's still suds. It's not until you fill the bottle completely with water and there is no room for suds that suddenly the suds are gone. So let us fill our beingness with that faith. The moment we affirm that, the moment that we know that wherever I am, there is that divine and that light is in me, I am immersed in it, I am submerged in it. The moment we know that, then the fear will vanish because we are held in the arms of spirit. See, love is the nature of the universe, and love has no opposites. It is only love. Love is all there is. It flows freely, allowing all the diversity of creation to interact and maintain its original essence. Love is absolute unconditionality and leaves those who love in complete freedom. Love is that total acceptance of self and other. It is without condition, regardless of what the other does, thinks, or feels. Love is universal and the only energy of spirit. Love is all there is. So we know that wherever we are, God is. And because God is love, wherever we are, there is love. In this truth, fear vanishes, just as the darkness vanishes when the light is turned on. There's not this force of dark and force of light. There's only light, and the darkness doesn't stand a chance. It's just light when you turn the light on. Our thoughts and words are creative. That creative energy is the cause of our feelings and emotions, and we must use them responsibly. See, the fear is based on not knowing who we are, not knowing that we are that love incarnated. Ernest Holmes tells us this. He says, if you could see the object of your fear until you really understand it, it would no longer exert any effect on you. And you can do this to the degree where you become aware that you are divinely guided and protected, and establish that understanding of this in a definite way. So we have to talk about how we feel. Feel the fear, do it anyway. Remember that first part. And not keep it as a big secret, just talking to a person who consciously will listen, gives clarity, confidence, peace of mind. We need to do that. We need to have the experience of love, of people who will listen to us. See, the experience we have as children can cause insecurities and fears to settle inside us. And the issue is not to feel fear, but ask, how do I react to that fear? What do I do as a consequence of fear? How do I let this emotion, this energy invade me? And as we become more aware of the moments in which we begin to hold these negative thoughts, we gain the freedom from fear. You know, these thoughts arise from the depths of our subconscious. And when they reach the conscious mind, sometimes they're very big and strong. So we need to work with ourselves, beginning with self-love. So let's just try it. So the first thing is to observe the fear, pay attention to the mental atmosphere. So just briefly, maybe a little fear, maybe imagine some little fear you have or fear you used to have. And maybe it's going to be a little uncomfortable as the physical body might start to respond. And the breath loses its natural rhythm. And so we counteract that by remembering to breathe. And maybe you feel something in your body, which gives rise to the physical sensation of fear. Maybe you feel it at a particular place in your body. And these are warning signs. And that we have to then accept the warning in order to begin to observe our breathing or the sensation in the physical body. And as we do this, we'll see that by observing ourselves, the negative thought that's been born from a false belief from deep inside our subconscious mind can be changed and disappears. So let's talk to that fear right now. Recognize it, talk to it, say, hello, fear. I know you're here. And you're calling me to stop, to withdraw. Sometimes you encourage me to choose defeat. Under your advice, I stop trying. I invent 1,000 excuses. I abandon my dreams. I've sought a victim's fate for myself, but fear, now I know a secret. I am the one that created you. I brought you here, and I have been feeding you all this time. You are the size of the food that I've given you. And though I'm sure we will meet again, I made you fear and I possessed you. And when I realize that, I can say, I am not in the mood to deal with you today. I'm not going to feed you anymore. Get out of my way. And so this is one way to face fear, because if we face it in a way that is not putting it down, in a way that is not suppressing it, but facing it, is when we can dissolve it. Marie Curie said, nothing in life should be feared, only understood. Now is the time to understand more and to fear less. So those fears come from false beliefs. If we continue to feed them every day, we give them more power. And that fear may have kept us in ignorance and managed us through guilt, blame, shame, whatever it is. And this makes us believe that fear has power, but it doesn't. Love has the power. Love has the power to transform those fears. And when we learn to love, to be gentle with ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to praise ourselves, to be our first love, we transform ourselves. And when we transform ourselves, we transform the world. Make no mistake about it. So the first step when emotion arises is to recognize it, identify the fear, and to know that I have the option to choose. I choose love. So let us choose to live in balance, in a state of gratitude, loving everything we do and feeling our life is important and relevant, and not allowing that fear to stop us from taking the action. Let us contribute to making our world better, knowing that as we change, our world will change. And if we are better, our children will be better. Those who come after us will be better. Our family will be better, and the world will be better. And so let us take this thought into our spiritual mind treatment today. Just open and being willing to let go of any fear, to let go of any anxiety, and to move into the truth. And so I start from the very foundation of my belief, which is that there is one power, not two, one power, one infinite source that has created everything that is, one divine intelligence, one mind, one love.